Just going to do a quick review and give my opinion on the Bigtreetech PAD7 with the CB1 compute module installed. Some of the features it claims to have is a 7-inch IPS touchscreen that runs on HDMI. It has a total of 3 USB 2.0 ports, one on the side, 2 in the back. It has a 10100 Ethernet port. It has a CAN bus for running devices like the EVB or the SB2040. It has an SPI port on the back of the tablet and also came with a adxl 345 adapter and a cord for that, which is custom, and I believe it's only compatible with this and that particular adxl sensor. So the compute module that comes installed has a heatsink. The specs of it are a all-winner H616 quad-core Cortex A53 1.5 gigahertz CPU. It's a Mali G31 MP2 that supports OpenGL 3.2. The RAM that is installed on it should be 1 gigabyte of DDR SD RAM. It has a HDMI 2.0 display that supports 4K. It uses the same header as a CM4 or similar boards like the Banana CM4. So this should be completely compatible, and that's definitely something that I like about this. Most of the Bigtreetech devices, they support the DSI feature, but the only way that you can really utilize it is if you use an actual Raspberry Pi compute module. And that is something that's nice about this. So it should be that you could use another CM4 type device like the Banana Pi in this, and I will probably in the future do probably a how-to on that, and I'll try this with the Banana Pi and a actual CM4. Setup was pretty straightforward. I tested it on a machine I already had set up a Voron 2.4, and the existing setup had a PAD5 with an actual CM4 installed on it. So all I really had to do for setup was download the config files, plug this in, power it up, and everything worked as it should. I don't think that personally I would use this for any of my Vorons. I might consider using it on a B-Core until somebody designs something for mounting it. This doesn't have a good form factor to mount on the side of a printer. But other than that, I mean, it's a pretty handy device if you like running the enders and you have your ender in the tent. If you get a long enough USB cord, this could be the perfect setup for you. Other than that, I think I'll continue to use the PAD5 on most of my other printers. I mean, I like it a lot, and they've said that you can use this as a tablet, but I don't think you could do that with the CB1 module unless you compiled your own Linux operating system for it. I think you'd have to use a Raspberry Pi CM4 and use one of the existing operating systems that has a user interface. So for the ADXL settings, for the CB1, the settings should be on the screen. That should be the correct one for your printer.cfg. If you are running a CM4 Raspberry Pi, then it's going to be slightly different. Not a lot, but slightly. There's a couple other things I would like to talk about on this, and this is something you need to keep in mind for your setup. Yes, this does support a CAN bus toolhead or any other CAN bus module you might want to include in your Clipper setup, but if you think about how you're going to wire it and where you're going to set this thing up, um, whether or not you want that CAN bus wire and power wire running in your drag chain or umbilical, um, yeah, that's going to be kind of a very awkward wiring setup. So this is all things you need to think about when choosing your device and whether you want to use this or not. And that's the only drawback that I see on this device. Equipment wise, it's a pretty nice piece of equipment. But until there's a better mount, personally, I'm not good at 3D modeling, but I imagine someone out there is, and eventually someone will make a mount. The only one thing that I would like to see them change on this would be making that kickstand able to mount to an extrusion so that you can mount it to your printer somewhere if you wanted to. But if you're running like an Ender 3 style printer or Ender 5 or any of those Amazon purchased printers and running it in a tent, I do think that this is kind of the perfect setup because you can set it up outside your tent and the computer doesn't have to be exposed to the heat at all. Since the CB1 module is passively cooled and they do not provide a place for you to hook up a fan. So if this is just going to be sitting on your desk, that's something you're going to have to keep in mind. Also, most printers run 24 volts, and it appears to me that you need to use 12 volt and have at least 2 amps of free power. So with that in mind, if you don't use the included power supply, you will have to buy a buck converter and kick that 24 down to 12. If you have any requests, want reviews or tutorials on how to do things, place it in the comments, hit the like button, feel free to subscribe. You can hit me up on Discord if you need any help. This is Tim with 3D PQC. Out.